Computer. I'm going to accept you. All right, we're doing it in two places right now. We're doing it on Zoom and we're doing it here just because, formatting. And so, hey, Boo.
Hey,
Okay, great. Oh, this is nice. I have like double screen
we're everywhere.
Sophia.
Okay.
Cool. Um, all right. So, hey, so nice to see you. I actually haven't seen you in like almost a year.
I know it's, well, not a year. Yeah, I guess actually it has.
Yeah. But
Wow.
yeah, introduce yourself. Who
Hi
is
guys.
Sophia?
First of all, Sierra, I'm so happy to see you. It's been a minute and you look beautiful as always. And I just love you so much. And I can't wait to see you again in person and give you a big hug.
Oh,
But yeah. Yeah, guys, I'm Sophia. I'm the founder of a brand and business called the Mind Palace. What's really our highest purpose is to gather, connect, and empower spiritual leaders to build businesses that are in alignment with their soul blueprint. I really believe that we all came here with a mission and with specific gifts and talents, and that we should be paid abundantly and be able to create lifestyles while living in harmony with our mission on earth. So that's what I help women do. And I love it so much. And this journey definitely would not have started had I not taken the leap and done my YTT last year with Soul School.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for sharing that. I feel like I don't even really know what you're up to. I only know via like social media platforms and
Mm-hmm.
like your sister, I saw her the other day, but I mean, a little bit of how me and Sophia met. I randomly met her sister on like a boat with a mutual friend we had. And it was very serendipitous where she's like, oh, like maybe we should come to a women's circle. And then you like flocked, literally, all your friends are so gorgeous. Like every time like, you guys would come to a women's circle with two or three other beautiful ladies, I'm like, wow, you really roll with like a very high caliber class of women. And it just organically grew into such a genuine relationship. And I mean, your backstory of like studying aerospace engineering, and then you're just like, yeah, I think I'm going to start a mindfulness company. I'm like, you're really overqualified for that. So that was amazing. And yeah, Sophia, she completed our 200-hour yoga teacher training. It was our very first one that we'd ever hosted. So it was kind of a bit of a prototype. Everyone that joined was really taking a chance on us. And it ended up being like one of the best trainings we've ever done. We're hosting our fourth one now. And there was something so special about that container of women. It's like, felt as though everyone was meant to meet, and it was kind of all the same sort of demographics. Some people had like very similar, you know, hurdles and things that they were either going through or achieving. And maybe you could just tell us like, yeah, what was it that prompted you to take that YTT with us?
Yeah, so I think for me, my journey to just even find you guys, sorry, can you mute your computer?
Yeah.
There we go. My journey, even connecting with you, finding Oblong and everything was really interesting because, yeah, it kind of happened through my sister. She was like, you have to go to this yoga studio, you have to meet these women. And I was like, and it was like the middle of the pandemic. And I was finishing out my university degree and truly trying to figure out like what was I going to do with my life after I finished because I knew I didn't want to go into the corporate world. And when I first went to Oblong, I just went to a yoga class and it was Hannah's yoga class and she invited me to the women's circle she was hosting. And that was the first time I'd ever gone to a women's circle. And it was an experience that changed my whole life. I was like, wow, we can just come here, be in this safe, sacred space with all women, which is a whole different vibe. Like if you've never been in a space with all women, it's magic. Like there's no really way to put it into words, the feeling of it. And sharing our opinions and exchanging our wisdom. And I was like, the world needs more of this. This is crazy. And I literally became addicted and just kept coming to Oblong like every single week. And I would bring more of my friends and I would always bring new people, be like, you have to come to this women's circle with me. And then, you know, over that process of just spending more time with you women, I mean, especially because you're a little bit older than me, you became really like my role models. And I think meeting the women who, you know, were kind of hosting all the events at Oblong at the time, I saw a future for myself that I hadn't seen before. I saw that I could create, you know, income for myself and a lifestyle for myself in the realms of like spirituality and mindfulness and wellness and, you know, exchanging wisdom. And that is really what I was born to do. But I just had never seen anyone create a life with that yet, especially a woman. You know, you see a lot of big, like, rah motivational speakers out there in the world stage, but most of them are men. And it wasn't exactly the way that I wanted my life to look. But seeing you guys kind of live this more soft life where you're gathering in sisterhood and community, and I just felt so safe there. Like, I think I remember the first time you hugged me, like, literally changed my whole life because I was like, I have never been hugged like that before. Like, you held me. And it was so beautiful. It was something I never even experienced in my female friendships up until that point. And so when the YTT presented itself, it was like, this is just a chance for me to go deeper. You know, it wasn't like I want to be a yoga teacher. It was, this is an experience that I know is going to help shape me. I've always wanted to travel. The travel aspect was a big part of it for me, but I was kind of scared to take the leap and just go. But then I would hear all your crazy travel stories and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do it. And if I'm going to do it with anyone, I'm going to do it with you guys. They're just so amazing. And the story actually of how I decided to join the YTT, because I was on the fence, was I asked for a sign. And I just said to Spirit, you know, like, if I'm meant to go on this journey, show me a green hummingbird. And the next day I had a friend over and I was taking her on a tour of my house. And I remember taking her up to my dad's office, right? This is a house I've lived in since I was literally born. I thought I knew every square inch of this house. I'm like, okay, if I'm going to see a green hummingbird, it's going to be on a television or like on my social media feed or on some like National Geographic book. What happened was the moment I walked into my dad's office, something caught my eye at the top shelf. It wasn't even like something I was consciously registering. It was almost like instinct. And I reached up and grabbed it and pulled down this little wooden green hummingbird. And this was not even 24 hours since I had asked for that sign. And so as soon I was like shook, I stopped in my tracks. I turned to my friend and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do my YTT. And then that day I set my deposit and that was it. But it was something that it was like a combination of just feeling so connected to you and the other women who were like facilitating, seeing so much of what I wanted my life to look like and who I wanted to be in the world in you, wanting to go travel, and then of course just divine intervention. So yeah, that's kind of the story.
I mean, I can honestly say when you were joining our little cohort, it was like Sophia's joining. There was like so many women like that. Just like your education, your background, the fact that you were interested in what we were offering, we're like, okay, maybe this isn't just for the spiritual yoga folk, you know, maybe it is for someone that's looking for an entire career change. And then Iman joined as well, who is also an aerospace engineer. We're like, maybe we're a yoga teacher training for aerospace engineers. Like, I don't know. You know, we had Gina as well, like all these women that we were like really, we admired and their caliber of work. And it's like, it was such a great reminder that everyone can be your teacher and that, you know, you really never know who you're inspiring or who's really watching until one day you like make that offering, right? And then someone's all of a sudden investing in themselves by investing in you. And it's truly like this resurrection of the matriarchal way of doing business where I think it's funny how many women are stepping into this sort of leadership. I'm wary to use the word mentor these days, but just in a
Yeah.
way where we're all growing together. And it's like, hey, I learned something and I want to share it with you just for the sake of passing on knowledge, because it gets heavy carrying such like potency that has helped you, that it's like you almost feel like you have to tell other people. Otherwise it becomes like you get weighted down, you become stagnant from it. So yeah, it
Yeah.
was truly an honor when you joined, and we're like, wow, this is going to be like a dope group of women. And it was so good. You guys handled, I mean, we talk about all the crazy challenges we do, and like
Mhm.
seeing each group of women come through, and we're like, oh, I wonder how they're going to handle this one, and I wonder how this one's going to go this time, and like, oh, I hope it's going to be okay. And it was such an elegant experience of discomfort. It was just like truly beautiful watching you guys all like squirm and surrender and squirm and surrender, and like this constant evolution like right before your eyes.
I mean, I honestly had no idea what to expect.
Yeah, nobody does.
But
But it's
I'll
all
tell you what
there.
I didn't expect.
What didn't
I know it's called a yoga teacher training, and training is in the word.
you?
But for some reason, I was like, oh, it's gonna be like a retreat. Like
Mhm.
we're gonna be relaxing. We're gonna do like a nice little yoga practice every morning and like our meditation. And we're gonna eat so good, and we're gonna go to the beach, and we're gonna do woman circles. Like, it's like
No.
I wasn't like my brain didn't comprehend that this was going to be a very physically, mentally, and emotionally challenging experience. And I remember even like the second day or something there, me and Elena were walking to breakfast together one morning, and we were like, what did we just sign up for? Like, really, like, oh boy, oh man, are we ready for this?
Yeah.
But of course, we surprised ourselves, and it ended up being one of the best experiences ever, and something I like truly, truly, truly cherish, especially now that it's been long enough for me to start to see the ripple effects of
Yeah.
going through that.
So what was it like when you first got back? Like I know you spent some time in Guatemala after, but
Mhm.
it's kind of feels like when you're traveling to the next place is not so you kind of get back to your familiar environment with the familiar faces, and you're like, oh, like did you feel different? How did it feel to come back to the place you once thought was like home, and what did that feel like?
Yeah, I mean, I had gone on a whole 6 month journey, and the
Yeah.
YPT was a month of that. It felt like I was a stranger in a familiar place.
Yeah.
Like I had gone through all of these really transformational experiences, and I had met myself in a whole new way. And then I was back in an environment that had known the old me, with people that had only ever known, the me who hadn't climbed a volcano or, done a crazy Ashtanga practice every morning for 30 days straight. So it was weird. It was like, how do I show up now? And at first, it seems like nothing's really different, but you feel so different inside. And then eventually, as time goes on, your actions start to reflect the changes that you've seen. So within, I want to say like 1 month from getting back was when I really made the decision that I was going to start my business. And I invested like 5 figures in a mentor because I had seen, the effects of investing in myself. I had felt
Mm.
it, I had experienced it, and I had also like built this sense of confidence and resilience, this knowing that every time I stepped into the unknown, it was going to pay off. Like my life was going to get better. Every time I followed that inner calling that I had, it was going to lead me to something so unimaginably great. And I also could see that even in challenging times, I can follow through, right? So I had this like sense of resilience. And that's why I think I was able to get home and go 2 feet in on monetizing what had been a passion project for 3 years prior to this. I keep
Mhm.
that in mind. It had just been a passion project. I had never even thought of like turning this into a career. until I got back from that trip. And then I was like, it's go time. Like, I can do this. And yeah, and then within like 2 or 3 months after that, I had launched my first program. And then since then, I just, I've stayed the course. And I mean, I'm going to keep staying the course. I love what I do, but I can't believe it's been a year and seeing like just how much my life has changed and how much I've grown and what I've created in that time. So yeah.
It's been the longest year. It's been like a 48-month year, I feel.
Yeah, for real.
Like you look back, you're like, no, that was
Yes.
like 2020, but you're like, no, that was like 2022. Like it actually wasn't that far away.
I know.
It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think that it is that like, what is that aha moment that I think all entrepreneurs have, or like any innovators, any big thinkers? What is that moment when you're like, oh, I actually have to do something? Like, what's that moment for you that sparked like today? And I'm talking more when you decided to do your own business, not coming to Soul School. Like when you got back,
Yeah.
you said 2 feet in. I love that expression.
Mm-hmm. I mean, a big part of it was being around you and being around Janelle and being around Hannah and being around Angel and being around Gia and seeing you guys, rock it in the business world. Like you're a yoga teacher, but you're also an entrepreneur. And just to see you like in your element and to see you running your business and to see you succeeding at that, I started to ask myself the question of, you know, if I know I'm so passionate about this thing, like the Mind Palace is something I'm going to keep doing for the rest of my life, whether I get paid or not. I'd seen myself follow through on that promise. I had seen myself continue to show up for 3 years. And I had now what I had that I didn't have before was the knowing of how valuable mentorship experiences can be. Like just being in a space with other like-minded people is so valuable. Being able to connect with other people, going through this transformational experience together, hearing other people's perspective, having a place where you can bounce ideas off of. Like you gave me the first ever like kind of mini mastermind experience that I'd ever had in my life, where I was really gathering with this group of powerful women that I felt such a soul resonance with. It was like these were friendships built on where I was going in my life, and the vision I had for my life, not just, what my life had been up until that point.
Yeah.
And, so seeing the example and then also experiencing like, oh, wow, this is actually really valuable and it's worth money. And I can go so much deeper with people when I create that like sacred container versus I'm just like posting online little drops of wisdom. Like when I actually create a sacred container and there's regularity and, there's intimacy, the transformation can be so much deeper. And when you're someone who really wants to make an impact on people, that's what's most important to you. So it was like, it would not make sense for me to not monetize because I could make a bigger impact and I could really help people transform rather than just be inspired if I invited them into a sacred space. And that's because I had been in one.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like what you said about, you kind of decided what you're going to do, and it's not just something you're doing for a one-off thing. It's like finding your dharma and your calling.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep wrapping this back to matriarchal ways of doing business because I think it's not talked about enough, but it's truly, yeah, there's 2 different ways to do business, right? And one is the quick, find a product, brand it, market it, sell it, cash out, and on to the next. And that works. That's great. And then there's another route, which is kind of a long game where it doesn't matter if the first one isn't perfect because you're going to keep perfecting it and it might be a lifetime commitment. but it lets you relax in the process. It allows you to make mistakes. And because you know these practices and tools are so valuable for yourself, it's like a faith-based game, but
Mm-hmm.
you're the prime example of like example number one of why it works. And if it works for one, it can work for 10. If it works for 10, it can work for 100. If it works for 100, it can work for thousands. And it allows you to relax into the feminine flow state of doing business where I don't
Yeah.
have to hit this deadline in 2 hours because I want to sell it in the next year. It's like I want to perfect this craft so that when the offering is of its caliber, like it will naturally attract that revenue and that abundance. And
Yeah.
you'll be matching it as you grow, like realizing when you're at a certain state, when we feel that hunger and thirst to start to create, sometimes all our bodies aren't physically there yet. Like you might think you're ready, but it's like, have you integrated that thoughtfully? Have you done the practice to clear? It's like truly spiritual entrepreneurship, like
Mm-hmm.
using mindfulness to excel in business. And then how can you flip it around also to use the more masculine structure of business to excel in your spiritual practices as well? And it's this whole beautiful ecosystem of like the evolutionary process that business is now being done. And I think it's why it's an easier space for us women to step into because we're like, I kind of don't want to be like Hermosi and like all these intense masculine men. They're like, wake up, don't eat, check your bank account. And you're like, no,
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. That sounds crazy. And I have so many men that are like super successful friends of mine, and they tell me how to do it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, go to the beach today and take it easy and like wait for that intuitive creativity to come because I trust in my dharma. I'm not about to go be like a criminal lawyer anytime soon. Like I'm just going to be this. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
Um, I had a fun question on here that what was your like best, worst experience thus far in your entrepreneurial journey?
In my entrepreneurial journey,
Any part of it.
it was based on my soul school experience because
You can put it in soul school too. That's part of the journey, right?
yeah. My best worst experience. I don't want to ruin it for people that are gonna join the experience one day.
It's okay. They can know.
Well, it had to have been that time that I held chair pose for an hour. I mean, man, that was it was rough to say the least. It was painful, but something happened in that experience that it was like something clicked in my body. And that's the thing about, people can say a lot of things, but the embodiment work, especially as I've stepped into my entrepreneurial journey, I've realized how important it is. People can feel your embodiment. Like it's this unspoken transmission that is happening at all times. I can feel when I'm even scrolling on my feed, like I'm connected to a bunch of entrepreneurs now. I can feel whether they're speaking from a place of intellect or whether it's from a place of like deep embodiment. Like this is a truth that lives in every single cell of your being. And yoga for me is the whole YTT experience for me was it was embodiment. It was the practice of actually taking this wisdom that I had collected over my years because I'm such a intellectual person. I'm such a studier. I had like read all the books. I understood intellectually all the things, but then I had the opportunity to put it into practice. Like, when we were in a pose and it was hard and, you'd say sensations are sensations, it was like now I actually got to feel in my body what it was like to feel a sensation. And instead of creating a story around it, to just witness it as a sensation. And to do that, like it's not just something I know intellectually, it's something I've experienced in my body. And now I can do that with every sensation that arises, every hard emotion that arises. And so with that chair pose experience, I remember there was this one moment where it like hit me so hard. I was like, this isn't getting any harder. This isn't getting any more painful.
Mm.
Like, it had just reached this level of like hard and suck and pain that it was just there. And it
Yeah.
wasn't going above that. And I was like, so if I have held this and I have sustained this level of pain for this long, and it's not getting any worse, then I can keep going no matter how long it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was fully prepared to just keep going because I was like, this is it. Like, I reached the point that it's going to get to, and I'm doing it, and it's not getting any harder, it's not getting any worse. So if I can just sustain what I'm doing right now, I can go forever.
Right?
Yeah, and I was like, what the fuck? It was crazy. It was crazy. And then I started getting like high almost, and I experienced this like I don't know what was happening in my body, but I was like full on bliss mode. Like, I was crying, having a full on spiritual experience while I'm like holding the chair pose. I don't even know how much time had gone on at this point.
Well, it's
And
like, I think what you're saying is mainly it's not the actual experience that's uncomfortable, it's the anticipation that we make up in our mind that it is going to be worse, that it actually takes us out from the present moment of actually just experiencing that it's not that bad, but we anticipate it's going to get worse, it's going to get harder. And it's ultimately at this end goal, like you're going to die. Like we get scared in things because we think whatever your worst fear is, most commonly it's like death. And once you realize that you're probably not going to die, it's just going to be a little uncomfortable. You're like, huh, I wonder how many other things I've run away from because you thought you were going to get really, really hurt. But really, when pain is just like a fleeting moment of pain,
yeah.
it changes the game in everything. Changes the game
Yeah.
in heartache and business and friendships and self-talk. You're just like, this is a fleeting moment. I'm not going to die. And all right, so let's just get through it faster, actually.
Yeah.
Let's just get past that story part so that we can just maybe experience orgasmic bliss in chair pose.
Yeah.
Imagine if that was your kink, like, hey, what makes you happy? Like, I actually love holding chair pose for like 4 hours. I just like love it, you know? Like,
I know. I'm like, should we go longer next time? But it was, it's like you said, the staying power. Staying power is everything, especially as an entrepreneur.
mhm.
You can't get attached to stories. You can't get attached to um like milestones, and like everything up until that milestone feels like lack. It's like I'm not here to just hit milestone after milestone after milestone. Like, I'm here for the long run. I'm
Mhm.
here to be able to sustain all the ups and downs that come with business, because there will be ups and downs that come with business.
Mhm.
But now I know, not just saying it, right? Not just like, I'm an infinite being, I can do anything, like, it's like, no, I know what I'm capable of, and I know that I can sustain hardship
Yeah.
because I've done it. That truth lives in my body.
Kat just joined, and like this last group, the music stopped halfway through, and I'm like, well, I'm not that sadistic. I'm not going to ask them to hold it for another 40 minutes with no music. And so I told them what my little scheme was, and they're like, oh, what? And they're like, let's keep going. They started singing their own song, and I'm like, you guys are crazy. Like, come
Whoa.
on. Like, they're all dancing. I'm like, wow, it was just really beautiful. Once they realized that what the practice was, it's like you almost want to test yourself of like, an
Mm-hmm.
hour isn't enough. Like, can I really endure 2 hours? Because you get curious, like, is there actually a limit where I quit? That's kind of, I think, the next step of it
Yeah.
all in business and spirituality, whatever. You're like, we did a 24-hour seated meditation one time, me and Janelle,
Wow.
just to see if we could sit for 24 hours. And
Yeah.
after about 22 hours, we're like, yeah, like we could keep going, but like it's a beautiful day outside. Maybe we should go. But until you've actually tested yourself and done it, like, do you really know?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
this is my teeny tiny hairbrush that I use.
That is like surprisingly effective.
I showed Janelle and she just was like, because like she could never comb her hair with this, but it's the only hairbrush I
Yeah.
own. And it's so effective. Look at
Oh my
that.
God.
Boom.
No, it really is. I'm gonna try that out.
So where do you see yourself? Like, what's your sort of 3, 5, 10-year plan? Where do you see the Mind Palace going and
Yeah.
yourself? Are you gonna stay in Canada?
Oh, definitely not. I'm actually moving to Guatemala in September. So
Yeah.
that's really exciting. Yeah, it's gonna be like a full circle moment where like the month, the same month that I really kicked off my business is gonna be, and the reason being because I want to have this lifestyle of travel and being a nomad. A year later, I'm actually officially making the move. And by September 1st, I will be living in Guatemala. So it's like if you can commit like this is the staying power so important. Like if you can commit yourself to a process, not even to a goal, just to a process for a year, your life is gonna look completely different. So yeah, that's exciting. In terms of like 10-year goal, I don't really make like 10-year plans because I just think it's so far out. Like I'm not even gonna be the same person I am today in like 6 months from now.
True.
Um, but what I would just love to see the Mind Palace become the hub for spiritual leaders to gather, like those people who know that they came here for a mission.
Mhm.
Because that's just been me my whole life. Like since I was a little girl, I've just known. Like I didn't come here to play. I'm like very results oriented. Like I was sent here. I have my instructions to carry out, and I will get it done. And I think a
Who's
lot
your
of
master? Who told you
I
these instructions?
don't know. I just popped out the womb and I was like ready to go.
Yeah.
And, but I think I'm not alone in this experience. Like a whole bunch of us right now, call them light workers, call them star seeds, but we're just born with this knowing that we didn't come here for some like material success. Like it's deeper than that. We came here to like do the work within ourselves first to alter like and mold and shift our consciousness to heal like our lineage, to heal these generations of like unconscious habits and patterns and unloving ways, to make
Mhm.
sure that the family that comes from us, if we choose to have a family, is one of love and harmony and peace, and where everyone like we're just breaking the matrix of what putting people in, putting children in boxes from the moment that they're born, like breaking out of
Mhm.
that altogether and making love the number one priority in our lives. Like we're all actually on the same mission. We're all here to see a more loving and harmonious humanity at the end of the day. That's what it comes down to.
Mhm.
Right. And so I want the Mind Palace to be like the hub, like a home for people to come and to connect and gather with each other and exchange wisdom and to grow on our individual and collective missions. And how that's going to play out, I'm not super sure yet. I'm sure that technology is going to keep advancing and that's going to have something to do with it, like maybe some sort of online village. Me and Elena talk
Oh, a
about
palace. Sorry, this whole
right,
time
a
I
palace.
just picture like the most beautiful princess palace. It like has hues of purple and it's
Ooh.
literally like the metaverse palace of the mind where, yeah, wow, it's so
People
beautiful.
just come to master their minds. That would be sick.
Yes.
It would
Yeah.
be sick. Yeah, like I would love to create some sort of like conscious modern day school. Like I think the school system is a area that I'm really passionate about developing.
Mhm.
Um and just shifting altogether. Like and a part of me even still dreams about all of us just like buying a plot of land together and starting our own little eco village,
Multiple
raising
plots
our
is what
families. Yeah,
it's
multiple
becoming.
plots.
Multiple plots in multiple places in the world because
Yeah,
we
yeah,
like to travel.
exactly. Like having and we all like raise our families together, and it's just like utopia. Like everyone wants that utopian way. And maybe we have like a lot of work to go until we actually get there. But what if we actually get to be the example for the rest of humanity of what that looks like? Like somebody has to do it first to see that it's even possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely know that a family is in the future for me. I definitely know that that's a big part of my mission is to leave this earth better than I found it by literally leaving a human that is better than I was when I came into this earth. And just, I think like number one goal is just create more spaces where people can not feel so alone in this journey, because for the majority of my life, I felt like nobody really understood me. Like no one really felt the burden of this mission that we can't even really remember until a certain point, right? And so for like so much of my life, like the first 20 years of my life, I was like, I have this mission, but I don't know what it is, and nobody else understands. Nobody really gets it. Nobody has this vision that I have. But of course, that wasn't true. There's like thousands of other people who do. And once I discovered that and I started connecting with those people, it just became so much easier for me to do my work. And we really do accelerate each other's growth by connecting and sharing our wisdom. And you guys were the first really community I had of that. So I think we need more spaces where we can gather and just support each other.
Yeah, be our authentic selves.
Yeah.
I felt very similar, like always growing up, and didn't matter if I was hanging out with the cool kids or hanging out with the band club or the art crew. I always felt like an imposter that was just kind of trying to fit in and like couldn't just be myself because that wasn't part of any sort of group clique. Like I didn't hit anyone's standards fully. So you just kind of quiet down the intuitive responses to fit in. And then you grow up, especially as a woman, there's like way more pressures to fit into a certain box than I think a man has. Literally fit into certain clothes. Like our clothes are this imaginary sort of box that we are constrained by. You
Yeah.
finally grow up and you're like, shit, I can wear track pants too. And oh my gosh, it's a whole different meaning when my stomach is relaxed and I can breathe deeply. And you're like, just thinking of these like small ways in which we are confined just by our breath, literally not being able to move, and finding our breath, finding our voice, finding who we are. And it's like now I think we all feel so certain in who we are. And it's so much easier to see that in another person. It's like, oh, wow, we're all kind of feeling the same way. And it takes one person expressing their authentic selves that gives permission for everyone else to then express their authentic selves. And you realize that no one actually wants to be at the party. And y'all just kind of want to go out and have free time and connect with nature. And it's beautiful once you take away what society thinks we should do and we get to go back to our root and our essence, which kind of takes me to my next question is, we have so many young women that follow us really between the ages of like 18 to 25. And what would you say to your younger self before you applied to school and you were like in that high school phase? What advice would you give that little Sophia?
Oh man. It's like one of those questions where it's like, I wouldn't change anything now because I'm so happy with where my life is now. But if I did have like to say something to her, I would tell her to wait. Like, go figure out who you are first. Go learn through life experiences. There is no need to rush into a university degree. First of all, ask yourself, why are you even doing it? Like, I don't even think I asked myself why I was doing what I was doing. Like, why was I so set on graduating high school, going into university, committing 5 years of my life to a degree that I wasn't even sure I was going to like? it's just, I was just doing what I was supposed to do, you know? It was like, it was an unconscious program that was running my life.
Mm.
So I would just tell her, like, hold the brakes for a minute. You don't have to do this. Like, no one ever sat me down and was like, by the way, you don't have to do this. Like, you don't have to go down this path. And why are you going down this path? Like, yes, so you're going to end up with this engineering degree. Why do you want this degree? Like, are you going to be an engineer? Like, no one was asking me the important questions. Nobody asked me any questions. And I was too young and unconscious to ask myself them. So that's what I would do. I would just like sit her down and be like, let's actually question the narrative for a minute and see if this is really the direction you're meant to go. And maybe you don't know right now. And if you don't know, amazing. Like, take some time to just explore yourself. See all the options that you have available to you. And once you have explored all the options, then you can pick one that really lights you up and become a master at that. Because I do believe in mastery. You know, I do believe in dedicating yourself to like an area of expertise, a niche, like becoming the person for that. And once I found the part of the thing that I was so passionate about, that I would like literally just study and talk about and teach people about and learn about every single day for the rest of my life, it was like, okay, easy. Now I can just really hone in on that, become the best I can possibly be at that. And I'm going to have an amazing life, you know, if I do that. So, yeah.
I think that's advice even you can take when you're 40. Like, hey, maybe you should just wait a little bit more. Hurry up and wait.
That's the next tattoo. Hurry
Yeah,
up and
hurry
wait.
up and wait.
I still have to get sensations or sensations. Or slowly. I want to get slowly, actually. That's a good
You know,
one.
you're like the fifth or sixth person to comment that they're like, every time I feel pain in my body, I just say sensations are sensations. I'm like, I hope that like goes down as a quote with Sierra Madre. Like, that is a good one.
That is a great one.
Okay, so final question here before we close off is, what feels the best? Like, what's the best part about your career path that you have right now? What do you like most about it?
What do I like most about it? I love who I become in committing to this path. Like, because I've put myself in a position of leadership where, you know, I am inviting people to go on some sort of transformative experience through my offers. I'm inviting them to go deeper into themselves, to hold themselves to a higher standard for their life, for their being, to be, whether it's be more authentic or, you know, create more powerful messages for your communities, or create a business that is an expression of your mission on earth. Like, I'm now walking someone through that process. So it holds me to such a higher standard for who I'm being. Like right now, I have a Telegram group of over 20 women, and we're all doing a 40-day soul fast together. We're all giving up one thing for the next 40 days.
Wow.
And that's a challenge that I created with my community. And I'm holding this space for the next 40 days. And every single day I'm dropping in with the training. And it's like, I now have myself under a microscope.
Yeah.
Because there is no room for a lack of integrity in my own fast. Right. And even there's women giving up different things than me, like giving up scrolling, giving up Netflix, giving up going to bed or waking up past a certain time. And now I feel so much more accountable to look at those things within myself and question those things within myself and be the one to change them, because I'm the one who put this group together. Like I'm the one leading and like I'm holding the group, right? So that's what I've loved most about becoming a coach and a mentor. It's been who I get to be, and like I really have to sit and like develop my thought leadership when I put like a program together. It's like I really have to go and do the research and put myself through different experiences to be able to create a really high caliber of work. Like I have to become the master in this area of like personal development and business development. And when you decide that you're going to lead others, you are going like it's a fast track for personal development.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. So that's like my favorite part about it, because that's what gives me the most joy, honestly. It's like never about the money I make. It is about the service that I provide. Like I love what I do and I love working with the women I work with and I love seeing them win. But if I'm being 100% honest with you, my favorite part about it is who I become through the process.
You get to be like the ultimate student.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. And it's so not like that's just the best, well, the most potent experience of wealth that I've ever had is just seeing myself become the type of woman I've always wanted to be.
Yeah. Oh, magical. I feel you. I feel you so much. It's
Yeah.
like every time you create something and you're putting it out there, you're like, well, I guess I'm doing this now, you know? And then especially when someone signs up, you're like, well, I'm definitely doing this now. I guess I better figure out what I'm doing. And you
Yeah.
have all these ideas sometimes for yourself that you want to do, but without that accountability coach, you're like, maybe I would do like a 40-day fast of something.
Right.
But then it's you against you. And like, I'm a very strict boss, but I'm also, or no, I'm like a very good employee, but I'm also like a very soft boss. So I'm like, I'll do it. And I'm like, you don't have to. It's okay. You're fine. Like me to myself, it's like this inner battle all the time. But as soon as there's an audience, like fortunately or unfortunately, you have to then like show up because you're showing up for others.
Yeah, you gotta
So
follow through.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else you want to share? Is there anyone that's here that if you wanted to ask a question for Sophia or like last little words of wisdom you want to share with our community?
Last little words of wisdom. I mean, Sierra, many people come to me and ask me about Soul School. You know, like they've seen me on your page, they've seen me talk about it, and they're like, oh, I was kind of like thinking about doing that thing. And every time they do, I'm like, do it. Like, just do it. Like, you're not gonna regret it. It's gonna be the most transformative experience of your life. Like, I will warn you, it is a training. I do tell people that. I'm like, it is a
Please.
training, but like Sierra and Janelle and Gia and the other women who are involved, like they are the woman to do it with. That's like the number one thing is like I wouldn't go through with an experience like that with anyone else in the world. I'm like, you're gonna feel so held and so supported and experience a level of sisterhood that you've never felt before in your life. It's just like you can't go wrong. It's so worth it. And so that's what I tell people. And that's what I want to say to anyone who's watching this is if you're on the fence about doing a YTT or any sort of retreat or experience with Soul School, do it.
I miss you.
I miss you too. I'm gonna see you so soon though.
Come
I'll come
downtown. You're
talk to
just in
you.
Vaughan.
I know. I know. I'm gonna come see you now that you're back.
Okay. Yeah, let's.
I need to get a big like Sierra hug.
Yeah. My hug's
Yeah,
only gotten better.
really.
Your arms are only holding you tighter.
You know, whenever I'm working out and now I like have myself on a strict like workout routine and I'm doing like any sort of arm thing, I like just think about you.
Why? Wait, why?
Because you have like such a nice like chest and shoulders and arms, and I'm just like, yes, I'm gonna have that too.
Oh, that's so funny. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
These arms. All right. Well,
Mhm.
it was so nice catching up with you, even if we had to do an Instagram live for this to happen. But
Yeah.
thank you so much. I don't even know what the Zoom is gonna look like. I haven't looked over there once. I'm just whatever.
Okay.
Love you so much. I'll see you soon.
I love you. I'll see you soon. Mwah.
Yeah. Da, da, da. Thank you everyone for joining. Yeah, if you have any other questions for us or you're watching this later, you can always send us a DM if you're curious about one of our Soul School yoga teacher trainings. We also have an ayahuasca, it's retreat. It's really so much more than just plant medicine though. It's about everything from biohacking your physical body, from releasing the emotional body and really connecting to your soul. Soul School is truly it's a school to evolve in all of your bodies in all ways. So nice chatting with you all, and I hope you were inspired by Sophia's story. She's just one of the many, many grads that we have that has completed either a training or a retreat, who has moved on to be really such a mover and shaker in the world of entrepreneurship, in the world of female leadership, mentorship. It's truly amazing watching all these women go free and fly after coming back from Soul School Yoga. So yeah, if you have any other questions, I'm here. I'm Sarah Madre. I'm one of the co-founders of Soul School, and we're going to be coming on here every week, connecting with some of our other grads in a little Where Are They Now segment that we have for you all. So thank you so much. See you soon.
You're so cute. I'm still here, by the way. Oh, wait,
The
I'm
awkward
on
moment that
mute, so
everyone's
you
just
can't.
watching me figure out how to end this live.
I don't think, can you hear me? Am I still muted? Okay, maybe I'm just gonna go. Yeah, I think I'll just go now.